Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Throw Show. Whoa. This is going to be a shorter episode today. Today, we're just going to be going by, as we stated in our previous episode, we're going to be going through every single event final in the throws at this year's Paris Olympics. And our first final that we're going to be starting off with is the men's shot put final, the first final to be contested in athletics for this year's Olympic Games. And then we'll be going in consecutive episodes where we go over each final as individual videos so you can get the background, results, and just the overall emotion that we experience during those competitions. So as we get into it, the results speak for themselves. I was made and proven very wrong in my expectations of that competition as Ryan Krauser walks away with a third gold medal. First ever shot putter ever to do so, beating out Tomas Majewski and Perry O'Brien, who were previous two-time gold medalists. Joe Kovacs, which we'll have really a lot of opinions on later in this episode, walked away with another Olympic medal in silver. And then probably the most unexpected part of the results is Jamaican athlete Rindra Campbell walked away with a 22-meter throw and the bronze medal. Sam, just your overall thoughts and feelings on this competition. What do you think when you see these results in hindsight, and what were you thinking as you were watching?
Okay, so I knew that Krauser was going to win. He's the GOAT for a reason. He now is a three-time champion for a reason. There was no doubt in my mind that Krauser was going to win. Joe, I had Joe within my top three. I won't go into specifics at the right now, but I knew that Joe would leave with a medal. Now, like you said, Rindra, I don't think anyone besides Taman actually said that, watch out for this dude, he might do something. But I don't think anyone could have expected or thought that Rindra would come out and do what he did, which was, insane. We all popped off, and it was exciting because there were points in this competition, no fault to the athletes, but there were points in this competition where it was a little lackluster, and I think that was more so just the conditions, which was out of their control. But there were certain points where it was super exciting, especially that last round. So
Yeah, and just kind of going off on that, the conditions. This is one of the very few shot put competitions where you can say the conditions had a legitimate impact on the competition. Essentially made rounds 4 and 5 almost non-existent. This was basically a 4-round comp when you look at the results, because if you go through each of these guys, we have the results pulled up right now. Most of these guys, all their round 5s were either bad marks or just fouls. And that was because the rain was coming down so heavy in Paris that's guys were slipping, to the point where I thought, Chuck Inequity and even Fabry were going to get injured.
Yeah.
Chuck had a nasty fall, but he bounced right back up, showed everyone he was okay. And it's Fabry, and this is kind of the story that I want to talk about with this comp. So Fabry, walks away again 5th place. We had high expectations for him to medal. People were even thinking that he was going to be potentially challenging 23 meters in the world record. But he walks away with a 21.70 result, 5th place. And one thing I just kind of want to make a note of, it's going to be easy to, say that Fabry underperformed, but when you look at the competition and how it was going in the early stages, Fabry had a very, very far foul that I think was in excess of Ryan Krauser's first throw of 22.64. That I think could have shaken up the whole feeling of the competition, but he had a near foul. His heel just clipped the top of the toe board. Sam, as an athlete, and as a coach from both perspectives, how would you approach a competition like this where the elements like rain severely impact the athlete's performance?
Yeah, so it's definitely tough because that is something that you can't really control. Weather is not something that we can control, so it's finding something you can control. And, in that case, it's all right, maybe you have to slow down your throw just a little bit so you can get some kind of feeling, maybe out of the back or like, better set you up in the front. I think in this case, like for these guys, that circle was very, very slick. We did see a couple athletes put tape on their bottom of their shoes to kind of help.
Fabry did that.
Fabry did that to, create a little more friction just to help. So it's like, finding little ways that you can control, your performance and, just trying to go out there and do your best. That's the only thing you can do in that situation. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think with what Fabry did, like I thought that was very smart. I think one question I have for you, Sam, is one idea I thought could have been done was potentially filling the circle with even more water, just so you don't have like that different plane of friction, and it's less more of a slick thing than you're just throwing in water, which ironically adds more friction. Do you? We saw the officials constantly trying to squeegee in between throws. Do you think that was the right move of what they did, or do you think they literally should have filled the circle with more water?
That's a good question. I think it really comes down to the rulings. I don't know if you can add water because then that's kind of like changing the competition. For the squeegeeing, I feel like there were times where they didn't squeegee, and then there were times where they tried to put more emphasis on squeegeeing. I think either or wasn't really going to make it that much better because the circle was still wet, and even if you squeegee, like it's still currently raining, so it's still getting wet, and the circle was slick regardless. So I feel like that's kind of a tough one.
Yeah, I don't know what would have been the right move to do that. Maybe just the competition was just destined to be what it was. You can't control the elements like you said, but I think we can see if we look at like the performances, especially the top four. Peyton Otterdahl was in medaling position almost the entire competition until his teammate happened to do something, which we'll get into very soon. Peyton had a really good meet as second Olympics, 2 throws over 22, 1 at a near 22. How do you think this will affect Peyton's career as he moves forward?
I mean, this performance solidified Peyton like he is one of the top dogs. Like you said, he was within the medal range for majority of the competition. Just unfortunately, Joe did his thing and, proved like, hey, he is a medalist for a reason. That doesn't take away from Peyton's performance. Like he balled out, like he had a super good performance. And like, I don't think, obviously he's probably like, it probably hurt. Like it was probably hard for him, but like, at the end of the day, like you're in the Olympics, you got 4th, and like it proved like he can do it. So I think like this is like a good kind of like performance, like a morale for him, and it's just like, bro, just keep it going.
Right. So now I think we'll just kind of do like a brief synopsis of the medalists right now. So you brought up Rindra early. You brought up how Timon thought he was going to do something. I don't think anyone really called him to be in the medal contention. But Rindra showed up. He was a 22-meter thrower coming into this meet, and he walked away with another 22-meter competition. So it's like kind of off the vein of what I asked with Peyton. How do you think this performance is going to affect Rindra's career?
Like you said, he has thrown 22 meters before, so like it wasn't without the possibility like he could do it. I think doing it in the Olympics can only, like, I don't want to say like it's the baseline, but like you can only go up from here.
Right.
Like I think if he can get a few more 22-meter tosses under his belt, then he might solidify him as like one of those guys as well. We saw Fabry do that this season, and we thought like, like he is one of these guys.
Yeah.
I think with Rindra doing this at the Olympics, the toughest competition or one of the toughest competitions, it's like, he's putting himself in that conversation.
Yeah, and when we start talking about worlds for next year in Tokyo, now we have to think of Rindra as like one of those possible medal contenders, and making big upsets because, dude, the reality is there were so many 22-meter throwers in this final that's like anyone could have done what Rindra was, but the reality is he is the one who did it on the day. So we know he's a gamer, and that means he's going to be a gamer in future meets.
Oh, absolutely.
So before we get into the silver medal, I do want to talk about the gold medal is Ryan Krauser. I was talking crap on Ryan Krauser just because I wanted to, poke some bear. I want to poke the bear a little bit. I want to challenge convention. I want to just kind of have more fun with the discussion of like what could have been. But the reality is, Ryan Krauser's the GOAT. He cemented his legacy. He's now the first 3-time Olympic champion in the event. No 23-meter throws today, but at the end of the day, he didn't need it. Every valid attempt he had would have won him the competition. And, even while injured, he's the dude, and he's going to be the dude for at least the next 4 years because he did state that he was going to be competing in Los Angeles. So, Sam, what do you have to say about Ryan Krauser in this comp?
Dude, he's the GOAT. There's nothing else to say, man. Like, he solidified himself. Like, this is his 3rd consecutive gold medal. He's gonna be the one to go for. I'll put it there. I'm stamping that now. But I mean, like, at the end of the day, like, he is the guy. Like, he is incredible. He, like you said, his first toss would have won the competition, and like, he did his thing. He even, like we were talking about controlling what you can control. When he saw that the circle was wet, he didn't do the Krauser slide. He went back to his static.
Right. That's a very good point.
He didn't throw that far, and he no-marked it, but it was like, being at that point, it's like just knowing, like, all right, like, I'm in a comfortable position. Like, I don't have to, like, do anything reckless. And, that just, like, says so much about, like, who he is as a person, as a competitor. Like, he's that guy for a reason. So, like, man, there's nothing else to say. He is the best. He is the greatest of all time.
I can't say it any better than that. So I want to talk about this last because for those of you that might be watching Throws You Instagram, you probably saw Sam and I's reaction and Taman's reaction. We had a little bit of a watch party watching the men shot together. And, I got on my knees and I had to pay homage and pay respects to what I'm calling Joe Kovacs. Joe Kovacs is God. He's God Kovacs, because even when he's having one of the worst competitions he's had in the last few years, that man somehow figures it out and walks away with another medal. He has medaled at every single major in 10 years. Mm-hmm. No one has ever done that, I don't think. I don't know what to say, man. Like, I know he's not the GOAT because Ryan Krauser's the GOAT, but it's like, if you would ask me, it's like GOAT 1A, GOAT 1B, because like, you can't undersell.
You can't.
How crazy Joe Kovacs' career is, and just like how much of a competitor this guy comes in. Last attempt after a wet circle, he was struggling with his movement throughout the meet and just blasts it and ties Rindra, but because he had a better second mark, gets the silver medal.
Mm-hmm.
I was speechless when it happened. You were speechless when it happened. What do you think about now in hindsight as like what this means for an athlete to do that?
I mean, obviously it's an incredible feat. I think we all, me, you, Taman, we agreed like there was something with Joe's technique through that competition that looked off.
Yeah.
It wasn't the Joe Kovacs that we were expecting. So it was just a little underwhelming just watching him, go through these rounds, just not performing the way that we know he could. So like for him to go out and do that on that last attempt was just like mind-blowing. Like, I know I was shocked, you were shocked, Taman was shocked. Like, if you haven't seen the video, head over to the Throws You Instagram page and just watch our reaction. It's a raw video. Just watch our reaction. It was just like insane. And Joe talked about it in an interview where he was just like, I know my technique wasn't all there, but I just had to put it all together for that last toss, just channel my emotions and just put it together. And he did just that. He put it together and he claimed silver, again.
So I have a bold claim, and I know I'm going to look like I'm going to look dumb for saying this based off of the result of this comp. But because it's happened in the past, like I think 2 times at least now, I have a bold claim that Joe Kovacs is going to go to the Diamond League final and he's going to beat everybody in the Diamond League final. So history is on my side for that one. He's done that in the last 2 years where he's lost the major, but he's come back and won the Diamond League final.
We'll see.
So that's going to be my prediction. But dude, like, we know Joe Kovacs can throw far. It just didn't happen on the day. And, you know, obviously, like, I hope he doesn't retire. I want to see him compete because I do think he could go till LA. Because he did tell me when I interviewed him in the trials, this is the strongest he's ever been. We saw him bench 770 for a double. And honestly, we didn't even get into that because since we last shot, that was new information, is Joe Kovacs bench pressed basically the raw bench press world record for 2. You know, he had a pad, but my headcanon is going to be that he was using the pad because he was so strong that he wanted to protect his chest, not because he needed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to finish out this episode, we're going to track where we're at with our picks because as we stated in the, you know, predictions episode, that Sam and I were going to be measuring, you know, how we're doing points wise. The points, as I said earlier, is going to be gold medal is 3 points, silver medal 2 points, bronze medal 1 point. If we can guess the exact person, that's going to be adding to our point tally. So, Sam, you have the Post-it notes. You have the results as it stands, only covering men's shot put. How are you doing and how am I doing?
Okay, so right now, let's actually, before we go into the points, let's just reiterate our picks.
Okay,
So, for my picks, I picked Krauser to win, I picked Fabry to get second, and I picked Joe to get third.
And I picked Joe to win, and I picked Fabry for silver and Krauser for bronze.
So based off of that, currently J-Dog has 0 points, and I have 3 because I picked the GOAT to win it all.
Yeah, I'm sitting on a big old goose egg, so not starting out too great for myself, but honestly, guys, like if you were able to follow along, I'd love to know what your picks were down in the comments below. Let us know what you thought about the competition. And of course, guys, if you're looking for programming, books, educational material on how to become a better thrower, you're already in the right place. It's Throws University. Head over to throwsuniversity.com to pick those up today. So we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Peace.